right, jumping right into this. There's a lot of collectible JHS pedals, and we have made a lot of things, but there are certain models that we didn't make a lot of for various reasons. And if we take a look down at the mono pedal board cam, this is kind of the smorgasbord pedal board of options. Yes.
Amen.
So the ones that are hooked up, we're going to play through these and feature them. And basically the features are just there because I like these a lot right now. We have some things on the peripheral. I will mention those sometime at the end. But yeah, let's jump into it and start with this guy. This is the Pink Panther version 1. This was released in 2007. We made around 100 units. These were made on like someone's spare room bed and in my old basement. 100 of these. It's a tape simulation delay pedal with tap tempo and an effects loop. And then we had the respin in 2017. We call this the Diamond Eyes. It's the Pink Panther reboot, which is really nothing like this one. It's way better. And this was my first cease and desist. It came from MGM. I'm not sure why, though. What do you think, Nick? Why would they send a cease and desist?
I mean, it does strike a resemblance to one of their Pink Cat animated characters.
Yeah, I grew up watching the Pink Cat, and I never thought much about it.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to the vintage V1 here. 100 of these. If you have one in the comments, I'd love to hear all about it. I'm just going to give a little demo. It's really simply made with mix, repeats, and time. And hear that noise at the end of the repeat?
Yeah.
So it's based off a PT2399 karaoke chip, which is really noisy at the end, but so is the tape machine. So that was the idea here. I don't want to mess with the tempo. It's so good. Let's jam on this. Something like emotional, somber U2. Can we do that?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I might kick in a little Klon Replica here, and we'll show that later. But let's do this. Ready? Sounded pretty good. I left my mic on. That's fine. Klon Replica. Let's jump down to that. We put this out in 2007. So I built these when I was in Mississippi, and there was no Klon on the market. There are various versions of this to be aware of if you're a collector. The very first were made in a plain, unpainted, like this is just a raw enclosure. So a lot of times you'll see damage on them and such. They're all stamped. And inside of this is an etched circuit board that we actually etched inside of fish tanks with chemicals. And they're like tan brown looking. So these are the first ones. And then there's some powder coated colors. Like we have this nice, this is actually the sweet tea color. We would just order the sweet tea color for this. And then there's the silver color, which is the old Mr. Magic color. We would just order it for that. Just all kinds of just facts dropping it. It's
dropping
just amazing.
All the facts.
But yeah, this is the most rare, the hand paints. Do you remember these? You remember?
Oh, I do. This was the first JHS product I ever built for you ever. Hand populated.
How did it go?
Good. Burnt my hands a bunch of times because it was the first time I was ever using a soldering iron. But I didn't know what I was building. I didn't really know what pedals were, so I didn't know I was building the most coveted circuit
There was a time when you didn't know what a Klon was.
Yeah, there was a time.
And you were better.
innocent.
You were innocent and better.
Yeah.
So if we look down, we have volume, treble, and drive. I'm gonna set it up like this and turn that delay off. So about, if I had to guess, around 100 on the etched board and exactly 289 on a green PCB. So if you open yours up and there's a green PCB, there was exactly 289 of those made. I probably made a couple more for artists. The last one I ever made was for Brit of Spoon. And the hand paint is most rare. I would say there's 10 of this hand paint ever made. So that's cool. And yeah, I think we need to jam again. Like maybe we're like a Tom Petty cover band, but we don't want to play Tom Petty.
Right.
That was beautiful. I had the Pink Panther on there as well. A little repetitious effect. Next up, this one, the Banana Boost. Nick, you're going to have a lot of stories because you were around.
Yeah.
The most rare JHS stuff is early stuff because we didn't build a lot. We were very small, and we discontinued stuff quickly. So the Banana Boost was released in 2008. I think we made 600. That would be like perf board type hand-built circuit boards and then printed circuit boards. I know you built some of the early ones, right?
Yeah, I used to hand build these circuits on perf board, and I remember really liking them, having a very like fond emotional connection to just putting each piece in and soldering.
Do you like bananas?
They're great. They're fine.
I don't know if there's
It's not like my favorite fruit or anything.
Yeah, the original versions here are stamped, and it's a banana rocket. A Banana Boost, get it?
Get it.
Okay, what's interesting is this is not the most rare. Out of all 600 made, there might be like 50 printed ones. Now, you're going to see this theme through today. There's an era around this time, 08, around the time of the printed one would be when we got our printing machines. So this is like 2013, 14, something like that. You start seeing me discontinue units right as we get the printer. So this is printed and very rare. If you ever see a printed Banana Boost, you need to jump on that. So again, we need a demo here. I'm going to have the Clon on. Let me show you what it does. I'm going to leave this on for drive, just like such. Bad foot switch on the Pink Panther. It's fine. Turn it on, and this is a volume control, and then the blend, you put bananas in a blender, right?
Right.
That's what I was trying to say here.
Oh.
Okay, you go all the way to the left. It's a treble boost. So off, on, slide it all the way the other way. It's like the full range, like the mini bomb boost we used to make. And in the middle is a perfect Vitamixed boost.
Nice.
Yeah. So I'm going to start with the Clon. We'll do some kind of wannabe spoon riff. And then I'm going to kick it on. And you're going to hear it get really bright. We good? We good? Let's do that.
We're great.
Yeah. was a good jam. I like that pedal. In the comments, not that I'll ever do this, but I have been tempted to reissue this in a small miniature enclosure.
Josh, I have 2 questions for you.
Throw it out.
One of which is about the banana boost. You say
Yeah.
treble booster all the way on the left.
Yeah.
And a what on the right? What is it? What is the top? You know, the top all.
Yeah, so it's just a boost pedal.
Okay.
And then this is the input range of the circuit.
Got it.
So it's basically a big impedance / tone control.
Neat. Okay.
That's what it's doing. So really bright. It's high passing, low pass, low pass, low pass.
Dope. Okay. Very cool.
Yeah.
And then my second question for you, the Pink Panther there.
Mm-hmm.
Was there mini tap tempo pedals prior to this?
No,
that switch is. That's how'd y'all do that?
So this, there was a guy on a forum who developed a daughter board. Yeah, they called them daughter board circuit for the 2399.
Okay.
So this is like, if you pull this out, you're gonna see like probably a blue circuit board etched, and it's just like this hodgepodge of like me copying and pasting these elements. Like it's like the cook just throwing stuff in there, and it worked really well. So yeah, that's the story with that. And there weren't many. There weren't many at all. This is basically originally and mostly designed by a guy who was early in the company, a guy named John. He pretty much did all this, and then we built them together. So this is, it is early in the game. You know, Boss had tap tempo.
Right.
Diamond had tap tempo. And there were some things on and off, but it's funny like how heavy and clunky this switch is. Like it's not very ergonomical.
It's a pretty unique a voice too, I guess, was the it's awesome.
Let's jump up here to the Bun Runner. So the Bun Runner is a dual fuzz. Basically, this is a 2009 release, and it was the first thing I ever did with an artist. So there is a band called Switchfoot, and the guitarist is Drew Shirley. Crazy, great guitar player. Like his tones, his ear, his part, like just so good. And he was playing, and had been for a while, a lot of small amps and fuzz pedals. So we're talking Supro amps, things like that, and just fuzz pedals. And so this is a custom built pedal for him. Now, I think we made no more than 200. I'm almost positive of that. Very early versions will not have any labeling on the knobs, which is maddening. I remember CME basically like, how do you sell this? What does the knob do? Et cetera, et cetera. So again, if you have a printed version, meaning the control knobs are stamped labeled, that's the most rare Bun Runner there is. So these are incredibly rare. And let me walk you through it, how it sounds. So on one side, you have a circuit called the Astromess, which is basically a destroyed fuzz face meets scrambler type fuzz. Now, if that wasn't enough, you have a Mark III tone bender with a bias control, germanium. So 2 very different fuzz circuits. Kind of the point and intention is every fuzz you'd ever need. And you have an order toggle. If you stack them...
Wow.
Yeah. So Adam from the War on Drugs, this has been his favorite fuzz pedal for years and years. It's been on the board for probably nearing a decade, which is wild. He's probably made it more famous than Drew did. Like, it's a very strange thing where like another artist used another artist pedal, and like it got bigger because of the second artist as well. So yeah, let's jam on it, and let's do this side because it's so crazy. Some kind of like E minor riffage. You ready? That's a lot of gain.
That is a lot of gain.
That might be more gain than any human needs.
Why'd you choose a Mark III tone bender on that?
Well, it's
Any idea?
my favorite. It's
your favorite?
It's from,
okay, cool.
So that's the original take on the Batman logo that I used for the bender
Yeah.
and the
Okay.
Legends. The one I've shown on the show a ton. So, yeah. And he was a big tone bender fan. At the time, he was using like a big cheese a lot. We hadn't yet done a cheese ball or even got close to that. But it was like, what are two fuzzes that do it all for a board that you're trying to keep small? That was the thought there. Next up, this one. You remember this, Nick.
Oh, I remember.
2012. It took a full year to get this thing done. Basically, can you take a Boss DM2 and trick it out? You know how people buy like a Kia Sportage and like trick it out with running lights and like they lift it and stuff? That's what we were trying to do here to the DM2. So, a lot of controls, but here's what's cool about this. And, you know, sometimes you just gotta... Basically, there was nothing completely like this at the time. A full second of analog delay time had not been done with tap. So that was never, ever done. The effects loop. So the effects loop is I have a POG just running into a send return. And when I turn this on, the echoes will have that in it on the foot switch. So that had not been done. Modulation on board. That's some juicy mod right there. Addison's liking that. And tap with subdivision. So the Cub is the same pedal, smaller, harder to build because it's so small, without the loop button. And then the mod is obviously not on top. It's kind of a preset thing. This is a better Cub. It just was so hard to build, and we went smaller.
They were very, very hard to build.
Now, we built around 1,600 of these, which at the time was a lot for us. We were very small.
That is a lot.
But printed, again, guess what?
Rare.
Here it comes.
They're really rare. The rarest Panther you can find is printed. There are probably a couple 10 printed surf greens we did for Humbucker.
I remember those.
Those would be, I don't have one. They're like mega rare.
Yeah.
So let's do like, let's go to E and like, if ambience had a groove.
Yeah. Ambient grooves.
Yeah. You can hear the octave in the repeat right here. And I'll turn it off. Back on. Pretty nice.
Very nice.
Josh,
nice indeed.
How long did that take to design that? Because there's a lot going on.
We didn't know what we were doing.
Okay.
And that's not an overdrive, if you haven't noticed. And I, it was over a year. It was a year of like pulling my hair out. A funny point of this is I was accused of cloning the memory lane. I think there's one back there by you.
Oh, yeah.
because it was in the same enclosure.
Yeah.
Okay. That logic holds up really well. Look at all the pedals behind you, Nick.
Oh, so many.
They're all the
It's
same.
like, oh, are they trying to what? It's the they're copying everybody else, right?
So the humor is like every year
Yeah.
at NAMM going and hanging out with
totally.
Diamond and talking about stuff, and they're like, "That's so cool," and then on the forum, it's like,
You
Yeah.
stole from them. What was the inspiration behind the effects loop? Because that seems like another added thing where it's like you already are working on something extremely complicated.
yeah.
Like,
So the Pink Panther right here, the original Pink Panther, it has it. It has a
okay,
loop,
cool.
and this was like the extended do it better, and then the
okay.
Cub was. So you could think of it like this: version 1 Panther, version 2 Cub is version 3, version
Gotcha.
4. You
Gotcha.
could do that
Yeah.
in a world where people add linearly,
Yeah, like this world.
like this world. Next up, Stateline right here. This is a fun one. I'm not sure why a Bunrunner backplate is on this. We don't ask questions.
No.
It was just on our history wall, and it works. And that's part of the struggle is a lot of, like, this foot switch is broken right here. So this was a 2012 Black Friday release, and we made 125, sold them direct on Black Friday. This is the same day we released the Prestige. And I remember making the video on Thanksgiving Day, which is not signs at all of having a workaholism problem. It's fine.
It's commitment.
It's why we're here. Okay, so this is fun. A lot of people ask. You have the state of Alabama, right? For me, it is Sweet Home Alabama, as some might say. What state is this? It's Mississippi. You don't know your geography. It's fine. Alabama, Mississippi. So there's 3 stars. And they're just like meaningful to me, really. I'm from here, Muscle Shoals, and then JHS started in Jackson, and it continued to Tupelo before we came to Kansas City. My wife is also from Tupelo. So the Stateline is not only a great sounding pedal, it's a map of my life.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's a Morning Glory here, Charlie Brown here. We were doing a lot of custom shop stuff like this. That's another thing. I can't even get involved in custom shop.
Oh, yeah.
There's weird one-offs. We won't get into those. But these are production pedals today. This is a Morning Glory with a very unique high gain toggle. Now, we've done 3 or 4 high gain toggles on a Morning Glory, and we finally really got it right, in my opinion, on the current production issue. This was the first time we really tried it. It clips the rails of the op amp. Then you see another rare pedal mention is the Steak and Eggs. This is another way of doing high gain. We didn't know what we were going to do. I was at Robert Keeley's in Oklahoma and just had to come up with something at the bench, and that became it. It's like not a lot of thought. And then the current version. So we have that. Here it is. I hate the comparison to the King of Tone with the Morning Glory because they're so different. But I think this does that to the Morning Glory, and that might be why I don't love this high gain toggle. But some of you heard that and you're foaming at the mouth now, like Addison, because he loves the King of Tone. Yeah. And then you have the Charlie Brown. So ironically, this is a dual JTM 45 style amp in a box pedal, because the Morning Glory essentially is that. So let's do something like I don't know. Try to play Hendrix and fell really bad at it.
If Jimi Hendrix wrote a song called Map of My Life.
So beautiful. Same riff, just the Charlie Brown. And then I'll switch to the Morning Glory. It's so weird. The high gain toggle gives it mids, which the Morning Glory does not have mid push. It's a very unique take on the Morning Glory. For what that's worth. Any memories of that? You're like the only person with memories. You've been around.
I know. Yeah, I remember it not being a thing that we did for a long time. I don't have like any like deeply emotional stories. I just sort of remember being like, we're doing a thing called the Stateline. Build this. Yeah.
Next up and last of these, I'll do some honorable mentions. We have a giveaway as well. This is the 73 Ram's Head. So here's the thing with this. April 2014, I wanted to do a trade with a guy who had a vintage pedal. This is the beginnings of my obsession. And he said, yeah, let's work it out. I have a store called American Guitar Boutique. Make me some Ram's Heads. So I bought a couple Ram's Heads and cloned it. And I made him 20, and they're in gray. There are 20 of these on Earth. I think, we got to do a camera change for this. I think that this is the rarest JHS pedal ever made. 20 gray 73 Ram's Head replicas. The white one, back to that, we did 75 for CME. This is a really rare pedal. This is 1 year before the Muffaletta. The fact that I bought those Ram's Heads, I started appreciating the Big Muff more. I ended up doing the Muffaletta. I started collecting pedals. This starts a sickness for me.
It's the beginning.
Right, this is the beginning of my end. This is kind of where this started. I just was met with constant pedals that I needed to get. So yeah, I think this is the rarest thing we've ever made
If you're watching this and you have any of these, but specifically this gray Ram's Head, you need to drop it in the comments because we need to know.
So for some reason, this says number 8. This maybe came in for repair or I bought it back off a trade. So there's 19 in the wild. I mean, this is like QVC. When they're like, we don't have any left.
Yeah. It's like reverse grilling a steak.
Let's power chord anarchy in B.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
That was a good fake out.
It's Ernie Ball trivia time, not record time. Welcome.
Gotta keep people on their heels.
That's right. You're keeping us on our heels. Nick, you were quite fast over there. You're like, we're going
I had my
record time.
record ready.
Yeah, you did. Welcome to Ernie Ball trivia time, where Ernie Ball gives away an entire box of strings on the JHS show. You answer the question right first in the chat. You get that box of strings, whatever it is you want from Ernie Ball. So here's the question. Everybody ready? We ready?
I'm ready.
You're ready. Okay. What JHS and Ernie Ball artist has played in the following bands? 9 Inch Nails, Angels and Airwaves, and New Regime. Post
right.
it in the comments.
While we're waiting on that winner, let me go through some really cool honorable mentions. The feedback looper. None of you have seen this because there's less than 50, and it kind of doesn't work. So you plug your guitar in here, out, and you put a pedal in, and it touches the input to the output through pots, but it's passive. And it just really doesn't work well unless it works really well. So it either like really works with the pedals you're using or it's pointless.
Yeah.
So there's 50. If you have one of these, I really want to, I'm really needing for my morale to have somebody be like, this has been my sound.
Oh, yeah.
I need that really bad.
There's some noise rock band out there, and they've had it on their board ever since you released it.
So that's 2009. Over here at Addison's Little World,
Oh, yes.
we have a pedal called the Pandaemonium.
Yeah.
Around 2010, there was a band named Deasvel. I believe that's said properly. Really cool band. And the bass player loved pandas, and he wanted a 2-in-1 preamp. So one side of that is an Ampeg SVT sound, amp in a box.
That side.
And the other is a four-wheeler fuzz.
That
Now,
side.
there is a V1 here. Yeah.
Yeah.
This moving camera is
Check
pure
it out.
fire.
Let's go.
That's the V1. I'm good. Here's my guesses on numbers. I think we made less than 200 total, and I'm gonna say the big boy. There's some weird hand. There's a hand painted this where there's like Rambo on it, but it's a panda.
Oh, yes.
There's like 2 of those.
Yes.
This is a
I
really
remember
rare
that.
pedal. So yeah,
It sounds
The
really good.
four-wheeler fuzz is such a cool fuzz. It has a really awesome gate on it. I love it. Demo.
Can I just
Demo.
real quick?
Demo it.
Here's clean, and here's that fuzz.
that's spicy.
It's fantastic.
Very cool.
All right. Then we have this, the steak and eggs. Now, it is rare, and it's really cool. I got to do this with my now really good friend, Robert Keeley. At the time, he was a scary legend to me, but he's the sweetest guy ever. And I think numbers on this, looking at my sheet here, we worked on this yesterday. I think there's around 500. And this is a 2014. It came out in April. The teaser video is me grilling a steak in a cast iron skillet and some eggs next to it. And we ate it.
We did. We filmed it, and then afterwards we ate the steak.
Somewhere there might be footage of that on the interwebs.
Definitely.
This is a cool pedal. I hate saying this stuff because it's not like there's no intention in this other than how cool I think it is. That I believe this was the first collaborative pedal between 2 boutique, whatever that means, pedal makers. That's really cool. This is before I got to do the JB2. This is before a lot of really cool collaborations, and it was an honor to do it with Robert. He's such an inspiration to me, and part of the reason I got into pedals. Next up, the JHS 808. Let me say something here. This is just a tube screamer. It is literally
It can't
just
be, Josh. It
it
can't
has
be
a
just
different
tube
taper
screamer.
on the tone pot, and it has a clipping switch. Okay? It's from the double barrel, the V1.
Yep.
The first ones are stamped, okay? So if we go down to our pedal cam here, the first ones are stamped. And then, guess what? Right before we discontinued it, what happened?
We only made a few printed ones.
I would guess 25 prints,
Really?
probably. Because they weren't selling well.
Yeah. Which is weird because it's like
I know. Well, everybody
confusing.
wants it when it's gone. It's
Oh.
that thing. So,
it's philosophy.
yeah, the print is really rare. Again, this era of older JHS, some of these prints are like just wildly rare.
Yeah.
Next up is this one. This is the Firefly Fuzz, which has quite a story. 2014, we made around 200, 250, I think. I released this with Pro Guitar. Anyone remember Pro Guitar Shop?
I do.
Yep.
Andy was born there. This was an exclusive. I'd always wanted to do one with them, right?
Yeah.
Because they're Pro Guitar.
Yeah.
This is when things were kind of shutting down on them, I think.
Yeah.
I was told over the phone in a very kind voice. He said, "This is the worst exclusive we've ever done. We can't sell these."
Oh no.
I mean, JHS sucks.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know.
yeah. You know.
It is. It is what it is. So this had a weird beginning, though. So it is from here. It is literally this circuit. That's all it is. It's my Mark III Germanium in this. But it originally was called the Transatlantic. This is probably a proto. I know I built a couple of these for like the Goo Goo Dolls. I think Third Eye Blind has one. Basically, 90s bands love this stuff. So the Transatlantic was the name, but Mesa Boogie had an amp called that. So we couldn't use the name. And the idea was the tone bender came to us in America over the Atlantic. It's a transatlantic sound.
Yeah.
Even back then, I was a nerd.
Yeah.
And then, like, obviously, right?
Yep, that makes sense.
Look at that blur.
Same color.
Look at that quality lens. And last mention is this one. There's a story
infamous
here.
Gray color
The
box.
infamous gray color box. This is shown at 2013 NAMM. They were never in production and were never buyable. And there are 4 that actually have the circuit in them and work.
Well,
This says
there's also one that we have that has a giant hole in it.
yeah. This says Mux Proto Keep Forever. Mux is the way it switched. So we had at our NAMM booth 75 or so,
We had a bunch of them laid out.
but they were empty cases
Yep.
with all the pots and stuff hot glued
Yep.
because people steal things at NAMM.
Right,
so these
right.
are all dummies. They're all fake. And we only made a few protos. This was once with Jeff Tweedy, with Wilco around I don't know, is this Star Wars maybe? One of those records.
It was before that.
Okay. Spoon had one. Some other 2 people had them, and we got 2 back. So right now in the world, I believe there's 2 working grays. People got so mad at us.
They got
because
really mad.
We went from gray to white.
Yep. People said that we bait and switched them.
How many of those gray ones got stolen from NAMM? Any idea?
Several, but
Yeah.
they were sadly disappointed
If
when
you, I'm just gonna throw this out there. If you're watching this right now and
Yeah.
you stole one of the gray
Let
ones
us,
from
it's
our
funny.
NAMM booth,
It's funny.
we're
is
not
funny.
mad at you, but please let us know if you did it because we want to laugh about it together. I think we all learned a lesson.
Yeah.
Right?
I want to know that. All right, that's my honorable mentions.
Love it.
There's other stuff out here, but we can do it another day. How about that Ernie Ball winner?
We got a winner. All right, the question to Ernie Ball trivia time today. What JHS and Ernie Ball artist has played in the following bands? 9 Inch Nails, Angels and Airwaves, and New Regime. The answer to that question is Elon Rubin. So, Nerve Party, you've won today. Congratulations.
Hey, congratulations.
You got a whole box of strings. Go ahead and email us, vlog@jhspedals.com, to claim your box.
Playing it at the right time now.
Thank you. Hey, I'm doing record time today, and I picked the Beatles' Revolver. This album was called Revolver because the Beatles were like, hey, what does a record do? It revolves. Wow. Yeah, that's why it's called that. This album is super good. Eleanor Rigby's on here. My favorite Beatles song ever, Tomorrow Never Knows. It's weird because Paul's my favorite Beatle, but Tomorrow Never Knows is my favorite Beatles song. I remember we were in Josh's basement building pedals, probably some of the ones that are on this table, and he was playing like Best of the Beatles. Tomorrow Never Knows came on, and I was like, what is this? I had never heard a Beatles album top to bottom. I didn't even know that he was playing the Beatles. I was like, what new band is this? Because it just sounded so good and so fresh. The drum beat is just insanely cool. And he was like, this is the Beatles. And I was like, this is amazing. How have I never heard this? So anyway, if you haven't listened to Revolver, please just do yourself a favor. Go to Apple Music, go to Spotify, and listen to it today. And that's today's record time.
I agree. All right. To wrap this up, I do want to say there is something fun you can do if you have some of these old units. There is a JHS fan page, JHS Pedals fan page on Facebook. We've become administrators. It was made by fans, and then I think they got overwhelmed, and we kind of monitor it. But there's a thing going on over there, which is fun. If you have an old JHS pedal, especially things that are stamped, like this era, you can take the back plate off, and you will see the initials of someone. So Nick, if he built a pedal, it's NDL.
It's NDL or it's my scribbly signature. Which
Oh, you have a dual
I
signature.
have dual signatures. So I either have my initials, which is NDL, or I have a very like swoopy John Hancock-esque like large.
You were
thing.
learning who you were.
I was learning who I was, you know.
That's fine. So yeah, do that. Go over, and I've been helping build out the term or whatever, the initials, who they are. So there's a lot of builders, and we have like a running thing over there. So go show your pedal on that fan page. It's a lot of fun. Talk about them. If you own some of these, I would love to hear about it in the comments. And one more thing is we are looking currently for beat up relic pedals. So if you have, let's imagine you have an old Klon Replica and it's just beat to death, but you love it, you use it, it's been scratched, it's like almost ruined. I want to see that pedal. So info@jhspedals.com, email and just say, I have this pedal. Show a picture, info@jhspedals.com, and we're going to send you a form. You fill it out, and then we're going to interview you and write an entire article and feature your pedal as a really cool part of our story, because we're 15 years in, 300,000+ pedals. That's wild. And a lot of these are getting rarer and rarer and really collectible. So yes, if you like today, hit like, subscribe to the channel, click the bell icon to get notifications of future episodes. In the description below will be a link to BandLab, Patreon, the show webpage. Go check all of that out. There's some really fun stuff you can do. Have a great day. Take care of your really rare pedals. Go searching, see what you can find. And that's it. It's been fun hanging out with you. Bye-bye.